We are live. Faye, how are you?
Doing good. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for being with me. And yeah, I wanted to I wanted to remember like how we met, how I get to know you. Was it because of Yen time or after,
Well,
during the Yen time?
it was after because of Nick. Nick introduced us, and he encouraged you to get me on your show. And then we had some calls, and then that was when we first got to really connect. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and I remember our first interview was a while ago, right? Over a year ago.
Yeah, maybe closer to two at this point.
Yeah. So how are you doing?
Good. So the last time we talked, I was still traveling across the country. I was actually kind of wrapping up that chapter in my life. And I realized I needed to. Traveling is pretty weighty, especially when it's partly during a global pandemic. So I had to kind of heal some traumas and come together. But I started actually just working on projects, and these projects brought me to life, and it's been really exciting, honestly.
Yeah. So share some of your enterprise. You seem like do quite a few project at the same time, such as being a podcaster. I've been your podcast before about Yen podcast, but you've been doing like a fundraising or some, and also yeah. Tell us some other projects you have been working on and pursuing.
Yeah. So, well, I'm just going to start out. I have ADHD, so my attention, I got to do a bunch of different things. So that's why. But I also have a 30-year vision for my life, and I'm multiple years into that vision. And so, podcasting, you met me around Yang Gang Roundtable podcast, and we did that for about a year before I stopped doing that. And then later, I started doing on Clubhouse. There's one called Futurocracy. And so it's a bunch of different activists who got together, and we started trying to bring data about information that affects everybody. And that way we can be more informed and maybe learn how to make change in our own community. Currently, we're like in a lull between season 1 and season 2. We still meet every week. Like you can join on Sundays.
4 o'clock, 4 p.m.
4 p.m. Eastern,
Mm-hmm.
1 p.m. Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
And, so, but once we start a new season, we plan to maybe theme our months
Mm-hmm.
so that we can start growing something with
Mm-hmm.
intention. And, we've been bouncing around ideas like, are we trying to work towards more leadership development, getting people to actually make change in their own communities? Like, some of that information isn't readily available out there. So we've been pondering how we want to approach the next season. But that's not even the only podcast I'm a part of.
Mm-hmm.
I work with a Canadian artist, and our podcast is called WOMMcast. And
WOMMcast.
yeah, WOMMcast.
Mm-hmm.
And that one's available on all streaming platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And so about a year ago, he made this big declaration that he wanted to sell a photograph for $10 million.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really cool. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, how can I help? And so it transformed, and it has evolved over this time of like, now we want to show the process of what it takes to sell a $10 million photograph, the journey, stepping into our artistry. Like, what does it take to have artistic authority? And how do you have clear messaging on what you're trying to share with the world so people understand a project in general? And yeah, so we're launching the 4th episode today. So we only launched recently, but we've also got like events that have been in person in Canada. So it's been cool. I haven't attended the in-person ones, but I did virtually one of them.
So people can go on just type what do you call it? WOMMcast. They can hear you. Like, how do we find you?
So like Spotify, or I think even the Apple Podcasts, pretty much any streaming platform, just type in WOMMcast
Mhm.
and you'll find all the different episodes that we have.
That's wonderful. So, how long is the podcast, and do you do it every week or more than one time per week?
So we released episodes on Wednesdays. We call it WOM Wednesdays. And, I got to say, it's been such a beautiful journey because one of the things that I struggled with initially when first talking to this person, Phil, or Peso the Poet, is like money. I had a lot of bitterness towards money. I was just, I did a lot of volunteerism, but I struggled to ask what I was worth. And as time goes on, now I'm able to ask what I'm worth, and I'm actually being paid more fairly, not feeling exploited all the time. And a friend of mine recently reached out. She's like, "You're really good at asking for what you're worth, and I need advice." And I was like,
Yeah, please give us some advice. I am terrible. I am absolutely terrible. Yeah.
well, if you think about it, let's just look at volunteerism. Volunteerism isn't actually free. You have time away from paid gigs. You still have to feed yourself, and you still have to pay for transportation and just bills in general. It costs to be alive. And then, so if you're not asking for anything in return, you're technically a philanthropist. Do you have the ability and that buffer to give away what you have? Or should you ask for what you're worth? And in addition to that, we still have starving, or what do they call it? The working poor. So people who do work are still not making enough to cover the cost of transportation, housing, food, etc. Right? And so we have to actually, for our own well-being, increase the cost of what we're asking for other people. And so, when we can request, I have a little thing here. I use it to remind me. When we request being paid what we are worth, you are actually challenging another person to invest in themselves. So essentially, like, people who pay attention, right? And when they agree to the amount and consent to that cost, it actually allows you, the individual, to invest further in yourself and your community. And so by actually asking what you're worth, you're encouraging a whole community to grow because you can actually pay people what they are worth, and so it's the cyclical thing.
Right, right. I grew up in communist China. And the idea of a communism is that I was told we supposed to do things for people for nothing. And a long time ago, people make, whether you have degree or not, whether you're a doctor or a worker in a factory, everyone gets the same amount of money. Like every month, everyone's base salary was like $5, something like that. So it's like everyone's supposed to be poor together. So I still, to this day, I have hard time like charging people, like people say, how much do you charge for violin lesson, or how much money do you charge for photograph or video? I always deep inside me feels very uncomfortable. So,
We adopt money scripts when we're young. We don't even challenge these beliefs that people groom into us, and so if you never question that, it becomes routine and habit, and you've never changed the wiring in your brain in order to do more and request more. And sometimes even it might trigger anxieties or trauma. Maybe it reminds you of some kind of trauma that when you did ask and someone said no, and then you have maybe like rejection feelings. Not saying that's your experience, but like that affects people. And so if it doesn't release the dopamine, the happy chemical, the reward chemical in our brain, we're probably not going to do it. Right. And so we have to like face our fears
Mm-hmm.
and actually try and move forward with requesting and feeling like the people in our lives do need this, service that we can offer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry, there's a phone call coming. It's not mine, it's my family's. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, so yeah. So keep talking. Tell us a little bit about your own TikTok. I really love what you do on TikTok.
Yes. So my TikTok, I had started it a while ago, and I did my journey, recording some of my travels and some of the emotional roller coaster that included. But then recently I did like a 30-day video challenge, and I called it my Project Playbook. And the Project Playbook is essentially a series of different things people can do within their own communities or their own lives in order to essentially help heal their community or connect communities. And so I was trying to share some of those ideas. I also kind of show my process and journey. And then after I did that, I decided to just share insights that I had. Sometimes I talk about life with ADHD and some, experiences around that. I know a lot about neurology, so I try to throw that in there. Have people question what it is to think about what it is that is healthy and unhealthy. Do we even look around us and get curious? What isn't good, and do we take action, or are we just going to be a bystander to all of that? So I definitely think I'm just trying to challenge people to think outside the box. I'd love to be considered a thought leader, because I was looking for other people who think kind of like this and share, and I struggled to find them. So I was like, I guess I could be that.
Yeah, yeah. Now I am going to try to find you on TikTok. Okay, so and we'll see if I can log in. So anyway, yeah. So how often do you do that? Do you do TikTok every day or 3 times a week or what?
So this week I haven't done too much of it, but I have been trying to pick up the habit of doing it somewhat regularly, a few times a week. Some days I'll do multiple a day. It just depends on my mood. But I don't know. I think the information that I've been gathering and the insights, it doesn't serve anybody if I just keep them in my head. I think if we share our talents, our knowledge, and experience on this planet, we allow others to expand what they can bring into their own lives. I'm just one set of eyeballs, right? Same with you. But when we do this creative thing, we allow others to maybe empathize or spark new ideas, be inspired,
Yeah, yeah. Do you mind if I share?
Please.
I just went into your TikTok and the one it showed right now is like you're talking in the dark. So is that the most recent one?
I'm not sure
Okay.
what my most recent one was.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll show you. Okay. TikTok. So small. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Do you see it? Do you see it now?
Oh, yes. I think
Is that the recent one? Oh,
it's not the most recent one, but it'll work.
Oh, okay.
I purposely fell through some cracks in our system. I sleep out of my truck. I don't have an address. I'm unbanked. I don't work for a corporation that is out of alignment with my values. I can't qualify. Oh, I got bad credit too. I can't qualify for loans. I can't qualify for grants. I can't qualify for a lot of things. And there's a lot of people who are heading that direction who have no voice. We need to get rid of means testing on resources that people desperately need right now. Stop making them beg for it. We need universal basic income.
Wow, amazing.
That's a really old one. Yeah, I was still traveling.
Yeah, I think they're jumping around.
I made a new painting. Isn't that pretty?
Is that an old one too?
No, that was a very
I make
recent one.
painting.
Oh,
I should do it
so
more
you
often. I think
paint?
this is going to be part
Yeah.
of the collection.
That's awesome.
I'm really excited about it. I made a new painting.
That's awesome. So you're really
I was
sorry. I'm trying to. Yeah, you're very brave, and you're not afraid of saying things, and you bring a very valuable point. Is that the first one you talk about? A lot of people, right? A lot of people are not sort of mainstream these days. So-called people have a job, have a family, have a house, have a car, have kids, have wives, have husbands, and yada yada yada, and buy stocks, right? And a lot of people are not like that, and we are not talking about that.
Yeah. So that one was probably filmed at least 2 years ago. And what's interesting, since I got back into stable living, I've literally had to figure out what it takes to get out of that situation and back into just a normal headspace. And what I found out was when I got back into stable living, I had brain fog. I was constantly being triggered by things. I had emotional roller coasters. The first person who hired me had to deal with some of that. And, I didn't realize the impact of being poor had on me. And I just wanted to know. But I figured if I could learn how to get through it and on the other side, maybe I could figure out ways to help our country too on a systematic level, because it's so hard to get unstuck from that. And luckily I just had like this area I'm in at now has all my family and all my friends. So like, if it wasn't for them, I probably would still be struggling.
Right. No, that's very powerful. Louis is our friend. We all hang out on Clubhouse. Louis is also Tech for Your Needs. That's his Instagram and his brand. He said to you, Sarah Faye Doney, thanks for being awesome and sharing your journey. Yeah, thank you, Louis. And
Thank you.
yeah, Sam said something about TikTok. And is it girl? Sam is a girl? I can't tell. Sorry. TikTok is designed to make your brain require only short-term stimulation. Nothing important can be said in a short period of time. What do you say?
I would like to challenge that. So actually, if you're making something, people only are probably going to pay attention to 1 to 2 details, and that's the value they're going to get out of it. And so you actually have to learn how to refine your messaging. So 15 seconds to a whole 3 minutes. And I like to do 3-minute videos just because I feel like I at least need that much to get a concept through to people. But I have tried to cram a bunch of information together, and it was just overwhelming. So I was practicing formatting. But, I created this video that was like, what to do if you're homeless and you need emergency shelter, right? And so, like, what do you need to do for a bathroom if you don't have access to resources? And so, like, it was 3 minutes. I packed as much as I could within that 3 minutes. And then people are like, wow, it's sad that you needed to make this, but I'm sure it'll help somebody. I'm like, yeah. So I think it's a limiting belief to believe that you can't do a lot with a little.
Yeah. Well, I clicked again. So, yeah. So anyway, tell us a little bit about your other project the podcast and your TikTok, and then you have like several. You have a film project. Tell us about it.
Yeah, okay. So I have a film project and I'm calling it Camp Kismet, which is a little nod to the name I gave my track while I was traveling. But what it is a summer camp for activists. And what I want to do is to, now it's not a documentary. I would love it to inspire a real camp, but it's not like, people sometimes have to step into a reality before it's real for them to even make it real. And so that's what the beauty of film can do. And so these activists will be attending a camp and they're coming together and doing like project display boards of things in their own communities that they tried or they want to try, and they're meeting other people. It takes place in the third year of the camp. So like the first year, they would have been just like a random gathering of a bunch of people, and then they would have strategized like, what's the goal of activism? Do we even ask these questions? I don't think so. A lot of people say it's awareness. Well, is it? I think the goal is actual change, right? And so many people, they waste money on awareness and overhead cost of awareness instead of overhead costs for solutions. And so that's kind of what I want this camp to offer, is like pretty much I have a bunch of ideas I want to put in front of people's faces, and this is one way to do it. But I also want to challenge false beliefs around activism and or maybe toxic mindsets around activism. You know, there's so many movies out there about love and all these like failed relationships and different like personality types interacting, that maybe they need to have some new insights, some new growth. Well, you can actually do something like that, but with the theme of activism. And I think like it's a big challenge, but as I do research, the result of it is I'm asking people questions from like, you know, my Facebook is generally where I get a lot of insights. And I'm forcing other people to ask these questions too. Like, what is the goal of activism? Or what are false beliefs we have around money or whatever, right? And so then I can use this information to better create characters who are trying to still do these projects, but they're questioning their false beliefs. And then you see growth, right? Most movies, there's growth of these characters. You know, everyone's got character flaws. But yeah, I'm really excited about it because I've never made a film, but you got to start somewhere. And, you know, the fact is that like I've been trying to get more involved in the film community. I was an extra in a film. It was a creature feature. It was a horror film with Sasquatch in it. So I got to meet other actors. I got to talk to the director and learn from them. Recently, I've taken a couple improv classes, and I helped at a film festival. So I'm trying to get involved in this world. And then that also gives me the opportunity to just talk about activism. But like, also people need to get paid what they're worth. Because a lot of these things involve volunteerism. And as noble and as beautiful and as rewarding as that can be, we still have to pay for rent. Right. So I get the opportunity to also advocate for fair pay in the process.
Wow, fascinating. So, tell me a little bit about, like, I know you're very, very, very young still, and where are these? You are seems very philosophical, and you speak well. And what is your upbringing like? Like, is your family, you know, you're always, you know, kind of a thinker. And yeah, like I want to know, like, when you're younger, where you from, and where you're like, what do you like?
I was from a very small town. Kindergarten through 8th grade was 63 students for a total. So like to put that in perspective, I went to church and I went to school. That was my life until like 18. And I hadn't traveled much. I'm not really religious anymore, but I do have a lot of the same values and like, I grew up with good values. And my family is extremely involved in the community and trying to make improvements. They actually have helped with camps and food banks and stuff, and just all these different projects. Like one of the things my grandfather taught me when I was young is like, leave it better than when you found it. And I was like, I like that, And so, hi, Nick. Yes. And so like my background really allowed me to learn that there should be empathy, to care about people. The style of the church that I did go to was very much like, here's a Bible verse, but here's a lesson you can learn from the Bible verse that actually applies to today's society. And like, you can use that in your life. And so that helps me a lot. But actually after I went to college, I got an associate's degree. And it really wasn't until I started traveling the country, I felt like I got my real education. Because, when you're boots on the ground and you're seeing everything from behind closed doors because you're staying with some person and you see what they're going through, you really get to see like the problems at the source. And then I found ways to give myself alternative education through like WikiHow, YouTube, Audible books, etc. And so like I've been very self-taught the last few years. So there's like an evolution.
Yeah. So the way we met is through Nick. Earlier we said that. How did you get sucked in by young gun? Like how? Like you're considered a young gun, and I'm still a young gun. So tell me a little bit about your journey.
Yeah. So I had learned about Andrew Yang before I started traveling the country because I read his book, The War on Normal People. And but after traveling for a while, things got harder because I was doing it solo. I was in San Diego, and I no longer felt safe sleeping I couldn't sleep in my truck very well, and I didn't want to sleep in alternative situations. So I stayed in a women's shelter. And while I was in that women's shelter, I actually asked for permission to go to a Yang Gang bonfire. Like they had a hangout that was at a bonfire. I was like, you know what? Like, got to get a permission slip to stay out past 6 because they have a curfew or you lose your bed. So I did that. And I went to this event. And it was there that I met a gentleman who actually was like, you know what? I'm going to give you 3 installments of $1,000. And I was like, whoa. So he was giving me out of his own pocket a freedom dividend for 3 months.
Oh my God.
And
Wow.
so when I was in the women's shelter, I was like, okay, well, I have all this extra money. I'm going to help a few of these women out. And as like that was occurring was at the very beginning of Yang Week, technically Yang Month. And the person who helped me was like, do you want to go out to Iowa to help door knock? And I was like, let's do it. And so then I helped canvas for Yang and basic income essentially in Iowa. And then I flew to
What city did you go? What city did you go?
I was in a few Ames, Iowa, I think is the area I was most at. But I also went, Des Moines?
Des Moines?
Iowa?
Yeah.
I think I was there just briefly.
Did you go to the early January? Because Nick and I, some other people we met, we went to January like 5th. We landed in Iowa. Were you there earlier than us or after we left?
It was pretty close to that time because Christmas had just occurred.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was not prepared for this experience at all, though. I
had such a great time.
It was
The best time in
incredible.
my fucking life. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we went to we landed in Des Moines, and then we went to Iowa City, and then we stayed there for 1 week, and then they asked us to stay one more week. So then we went to what do you call Waterloo, which is
Okay.
very rural area. Yeah, yeah. But anyway, it's just curious, where did you go? But anyway, so tell me more, please.
Yeah. So, but we're doing it through the grassroots, right? And so I ended up going to multiple events, trying to advocate for it. I went to a college party to advocate for it. Door knocking probably in places that like I wasn't necessarily supposed to, but we didn't care. We hung up posters in random businesses and stuff. And eventually when that happened, because there was also the story of Yang House. And so I met all of those women who were trying to do that. And it was just an incredible experience. But once it wrapped up in Iowa, everyone went to Vegas. And so we actually drove down to Vegas and I did more networking there. I met more activists and stuff trying to do this. And so we helped with the, what is it called? Let's see. Whatever it's called. Okay. Because Iowa was the caucus, but in Vegas they had something else, and I can't remember what it was called off the top of my head.
I think we'll know.
But so I helped out there, and it was interesting because there was voting going on, and I was just like playing my ukulele, listening to trying to entertain the people who were standing in line for like hours, and so I just tried to add a little bit more fun to the experience. Mm-hmm. But then Yang dropped out, and then everything started dissolving, and that's when the pandemic hit, and my life just took a oh man. I think a lot of people have their own personal experiences. Not easy living out of a truck, though.
Yeah, I remember you were telling people's story, with the picture of your truck, and I remember a certain time you get, the tire blew up or something, just one problem after another. So what will, from this truck, living in truck experience, number one question, what would make you to finish the journey? Like, what stopped you to continue this journey?
Why did I stop?
Mm-hmm.
So, I had been going through quite a lot of like emotional ups and downs, and my truck broke down in Alabama, and I started investigating a certain town called Fort Deposit, Alabama. And I went into panic mode. This whole city is like, they stopped dreaming like 20, 30 years ago. I want to help the city. And I was like, I don't even have a couch for someone to sleep on, let alone help a whole city. Okay. I have no footing in this world and no resources like I would desire. I'm not as resourceful enough to help a whole city. And so I had already been planning to come back to my hometown area so that I could like replenish, and like it was around my birthday. I was trying to get back here. So I was like, okay. And then like I had to admit to myself, I am tired. I'm exhausted. I am struggling. I'm having a lot of emotional breakdowns. And so I was like, I need to stop. And so calling it was just so heavy, actually, because I felt like I was like, oh, I'm a nomadic activist. I can do whatever. And, it was just too hard. So.
Yeah. And I saw your Twitter. Like, I don't know when was that statement. Andrew Yan actually acknowledged you. What was that about?
So let's see. I think so Andrew Yang technically had seen a few things that I was involved in while helping on the campaign. Because like I went to a tailgate party and I was part of a picture where Andrew Yang made a comment because I had one of the big Andrew Yang cutout faces and stuff. And so you couldn't tell it was me. But then there was another time that we were at a bowling alley advocating for Andrew Yang during Yang Month. And there was a whole group of us. And he acknowledged that one. I made a video thanking him and the impact he had on my life. And, you know, how he inspired someone to give me money. So, of course, I'm going to be thankful for him.
Yeah.
It wasn't even his own thing. And I actually met him in person and told him about that story. And he's like, oh, wow, like, I didn't know, like, that's cool. And so, like, my interactions with him have been a few, if you will. Because I also met him in person at multiple events in Iowa, but he actually came back to Portland to help with, what is it called? They were advocating for a yearly thing. Man, I'm spacing what it was called. Anyway, so they were trying to get money to Oregonians, kind of like it would be a rebate. And so Oregon People's Rebate is what it's called. And he came by helping promote their event. And so that's when I got the opportunity to tell him the impact. I actually have a signed picture of me and him from Iowa. I got my little unicorn puppet with me in the picture. So,
wow, that's awesome. Yeah. So I finally, after 3 years, you know, in this movement, since mid of 2019, and I asked him like multiple times and so if he can be on my show. So he finally came on. You probably saw that. He came on.
I saw that. I was so excited for you. I was like, it
happened. Yeah, November 2nd. And yeah, it was great. It was great. And I think his campaign was his assistant right now. They were like asking me, they'll say, what kind of topic you're going to ask Andrew so we can be prepared. And I said to Ed is his assistant, I think, administration assistant. I said, I wanted to shine Andrew Yang as a human, right? I'm not going to talk about too much politics, you know, and yeah, I said, so I did that. So people actually said they liked it. They like, oh yeah, maybe when I'm talking to you, I'll pull that thing out. They like, because they don't see the other side of that side of him kind of being funny or being original or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
My internet is a little bit slow right now. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
I think a lot of people.
My internet is a little slow.
Well, hopefully you can hear me. People tend to think about him. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
People think about him in their own context, and I think they project some of their own desires onto him.
Yes.
And I don't think they see the bigger picture of his strategy. And he tries to share what he learns. I think they also don't consider that he's just a human who happened to be bold enough to take the risk and put himself out there, which is a lot more than a lot of people would do. So like, if you, whoever's watching, went out there and did the same thing, what would have you have done? You don't know. And then, you know, he's just trying to continue a message. But I think a lot of people got bitter that he pivoted away from basic income a little bit, and moved towards ranked choice of voting. And I think it's all interconnected. It's all part of the bigger picture, but you got to start somewhere. And sometimes you have to have that foundation first. And that's my personal opinion.
Right. So, yeah, so he, did you read his latest book? I'm a little frozen. Can you see me?
I can see you, yeah.
I feel like, oh, okay. Yeah, the war on, not war, the forward.
Yeah, I read it.
Forward. Yeah. How do you like it?
It was good. It was very informative about like what goes on behind the scenes, and it's a bit like disheartening, honestly, that kind of it made me have less faith in politics a little bit, if I'm honest.
Oh yeah.
But not like his party per se, like what he's trying to do. It's just like being in politics has some toxicity to it. But it sounds like he learned about being more inclusive and how to message things and just giving insights on what people actually go through.
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked his book. Is that I think he's a really good storyteller. He walks you through why he was running for president and why he was running for mayor of New York City, right? And he talks about a lot of statistics, datas about, problems or just a lot of issues, And so I listened to his book actually twice and then read once, because I guess every time you listen to it, you get new, information, right? Because not all the time you remember everything what he says. So yeah, if you haven't audience, if you haven't read the forward, oh, it's right here, forward the book. Yeah, consider reading it. I think I'm delayed right now, so yeah. So
I think
are
you
you
are
there?
delayed for me. Yeah, I can hear you. I think you are delayed for me for the visual at
Kind of
least.
weird. Yeah. And I'll show you something. It's pretty funny. I don't want to take too much of our time, but I want to show you. So we do rapid fire in the end, and I did it with him. And my internet is very slow. Sorry about that. Um, I actually use okay, sorry, sorry. Do you see it? Do you see it?
I see a
Hold on a
loading bar
second.
still.
Okay, I'm a little slow right now just because.
It happens.
Oh, yeah. Um, sorry about that. I am already using a what do you call Ethernet cable. How could that happen? Because you're supposed to have uh, a very good connection. But anyway, yeah. So, mm, so so tell us. Oh, he's here. He's here. Sorry.
There it is.
Yeah. It's funny. I asked him. Yeah, I asked him does he know how to say curse word in Mandarin, and then he said something, and I said to him in Chinese. I said, "Not correct." He said, "Not correct," and then I said, "I'll teach you later." I said. Right now is not showing right now. The YouTube is very slow. So anyway, yeah. So anyway, yeah. So you to wait. It asked me to wait. Okay, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna exit. Okay, sorry. Too much waiting. So tell us more about any any
Yeah,
other
I do.
project you're working on.
So I've been questifying.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I've been questifying
Yeah.
my life, which means I have been using a gamification framework for essentially creating a baseline stats for myself and using that as a way to measure progress for finding fulfillment in my life and to achieve my goals. back in June, I started tracking my stats and I gave myself a grade, right? And I used like the American grading system. I had a C- back in June. And then not great. And then just a few days ago, I did it again and I have an A- now. So I've actually been able to take steps to improve my quality of life. And, it's just about like setting some goals for myself as well and making sure that I at least move in the right direction, because some things take a while to actually achieve or like build enough courage to have those conversations. And sometimes my stats will dip a little because I've been trying to do it at least like a check-in once a month. And it's really cool because I feel like I'm at a point where I've been actually testing. There's a person named Eddie in China, and I've been working with him to essentially change it from single player to multiplayer. And he started doing it. And now he's playing more piano. He's able to like set some boundaries with work relationships where he doesn't like stay in meetings longer than he actually wants to. And so like even his quality of life is improving. I'm like, oh, yay, good. I think it would be fun eventually to get like maybe a club together where people are playing together and having fun, challenging each other, being accountability buddies and stuff. And just quickly, it's like, what is your physical health at? What is your safe space? Like your physical body, is it safe? Homeless people might have a lower number than someone who's in a house. What is your self-love at? Do you do enough of that? How accepted as your authentic self do you feel from your peers and others in your life? How well are your present rational needs being met, like food and everything? Like, can you pay your bills? Your future rational needs. So like, how well are you prepared for the future? And then it's your family life. How connected are you to your family or your chosen family, like people who share values with you? And then tribe, so your community, still sharing values, but how connected to your community do you feel? And then the last two is sensory input needs. So like, do you, in your home environment, do you smell what you want to smell, see what you want to see, feel what you want to feel? Like, are you hearing laughter or fighting? Is that what you want in your environment? And the same goes for your work environment. Are you hearing what you want to hear, feeling what you want to feel? And so like you're figuring out like if you're having anxieties in these things. And so like when you give yourself a score of 1 to 10 in each of these different categories, you could realize maybe I could be doing more in, say, self-care. Okay, well, then you just write a goal. What is that? And then once you do these things, you actually just improve. You feel it, right? And there's no wrong answer. And so I've been working on that one for a long time. And I have like multiple journals.
Yeah. I'm still a little bit delayed, so I see myself kind of weird. But anyway, I hear all the things you said. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So yeah, we're almost 10 minutes before 6 o'clock. And would you like to play the game with me, the rapid fire?
Of course.
Or do you have more more wisdom shedding on us?
I think I covered most of the different things. My podcast, Futurocracy, and WOMMcast. I did the Camp Kismet. I talked about Questify Life and technically my project playbook. So I feel like I've covered a lot of the different projects I'm working on, at least.
Yeah, check your TikTok. Check Faye's TikTok. Yeah.
Lots of little nuggets there.
Mhm.
I think I just want to encourage people to just challenge themselves to get curious about how they can get involved in their own lives a little more, and figure out like how to step into their passions. There's this song I found recently. It's Live Your Daydream. Like, why not? This is the life you got. Stop dreaming about the day, but start living it, you know. And I loved that song. And I think more people need to just, here's your permission. Today can be the day, you know, of the rest of your life.
Right. So I would love to see more of your work. Like, you're a visual artist. You also speak so well. So you can, you know, maybe write some, like Lewis was suggesting, journals, and maybe you can write a book about how you feel right now, you know?
Yeah. So I had to start getting medicated for my ADHD in order to have any structure in my life. And that only recently was an occurrence. I've been medicated for like a month and a half, and I'm 33. So like most of my life and journey has been a lot of chaotic energy. And I had to narrow down into like 5 things instead of 15 or 20. And so I do want to write a book about my life and my journey on the road, and talk about like homelessness and what the needs of money equals. But that's kind of on the back burner right now. And for a while I did do like little journals of my travel, but I feel like I've healed so much. So like what I was experiencing then was a whole different person. I've evolved, and thank goodness. I was rough out there, and I probably caused some mental distress in other people's lives. And I wish I didn't, but you know, I can only be better. Right. And I think a lot of people, they stay stuck in this, like, oh, I've hurt people, I must be like blame, shaming, guilting myself. Well, that doesn't serve you or them even. Growing and learning and changing does. So I'd love to share those new insights of like how I got to like maybe a healthier place. But organizing my stuff has been the biggest journey.
Yeah. That's tough. I think being organized, or even thinking about doing it, and it's all very challenging, I guess, but we have to do from somewhere. And writing things down, that's what I do. Almost every morning I have a to-do list that helps me to, you know, focus and to do one thing at a time.
This is my task list. I write things, and then I check them off, and then I rip out the front page, and then I'm on to the next day.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. So let's do rapid fire. Okay, ready.
It.
Favorite color?
Blue.
What is your favorite vegetable?
Vegetable. Ooh. I'd say that cooked cabbage. It's really nice.
Cabbage. Yeah. Do you eat meat? Is that a private
no.
question?
No, I do. But I've been trying to at least like half of the time eat the like Beyond Burgers and stuff, you know. So like I'm trying to figure out how to get there, but I'm not there yet.
Yeah, Beyond Burger is really, really tasty. Actually, tastes really like a burger. Actually.
Yeah.
I mean, we buy that, you know, from Costco. Actually. Yeah. So what book you have read recently that you'll encourage us to read?
Ooh, I've been reading a lot. I would say Creativity Inc. is a really inspiring book. But it's not the one. What is it? Dr. Gabor Mate, any of his books, literally any of his books are good too. I think he did the Myth of Normal is also a good book, like hands down, but it's a long read.
If you win a lottery of 25 million, what would you do?
I would invest it into my 30-year vision, and I would create community housing for people who are trying to make a change in their communities, and getting these people together in order to like network And also, if I had more than one, they could travel between them and maybe expand their impact.
So you are still very young, and what do you see yourself in 5 years?
I think by 5 years, I will have finally finished my movie, Camp Kismet. And I think I would probably be a little more travel. More travel would be good. Since I stopped, I had to. And I think that more people would know my existence, at least. And maybe be inspired to do some of the projects that I have in my books.
Thank you. So Nick says you're being exponential. What is it called? Exponential, and to know you and Ching has definitely proven to be upgraded and life game achievements. Thank you, Nick. He's always so good with the words too. And yeah, so if you, I know you traveled within United States. If you had opportunity to go overseas, what country would you like to visit?
So I've always wanted to go to Australia just to see the nature, but I think I would like to go to Africa to meet some of the people that I've met online.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Do you see yourself? That's a little bit personal. Do you see yourself becoming a mother eventually?
I actually don't want to be a mom. I like the aunt role because it allows me to use my time to help make sure my nieces and nephews have a future that doesn't look so grim.
Nice answer. Yeah, so if you had a chance, I always ask this to my guests. If you had a chance to have dinner with 3 people, who would you invite?
Dr. Gabor Mate. I would say Drew Barrymore. And probably, I said at the same time.
No, not the same time. 3 dinners.
Yeah. And I think Leo Gura would be a fascinating person. Yeah.
I was just gonna ask you, like, who would you think will, like, act on you in the narrative movie? Is that Drew Barrymore? You look like her a little bit, right? Isn't that? Or she look like you? Yeah.
Well, she's older, so I would probably look like her. I want to direct a film with her one day. I think I would love to just work with her. As far as someone playing me, I'm not sure, but I do think Selena Gomez would be also someone really cool to have on a project.
Awesome. Yay. So, what is your favorite beverage when you go to a bar?
I no longer drink alcohol. I've been sober for at least 2 years now. So nowadays it's Sprite or some kind of, even just water. Yeah.
Awesome. Good. I'm very proud of you. So, yeah, last question, very easy. Coffee or tea?
Coffee, hands down. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much. People, you have 2 names. I call you Faye, Sarah, Faye.
All of them work.
Yeah, to be with me for this talk. And I wanted to tell people who are watching us or will watch us in the future, please, pay attention to this program. I interview people once a week, usually Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And next week, I'm going to interviewing Colleen, who is a trans woman and artist, musician, composer, and very interesting. And yeah, a month ago I interviewed Angie Yan. So today is with So check Sarah, check Faye's what do you call TikTok and also she does Facebook also, so you can Google her on Facebook. Yeah, and everybody be safe out there, and thank you so much for watching us. Yeah, I'm gonna end this now. And yeah, let's keep in touch, Faye.
Please.
And yeah, I like to hear your progress of your work. Your multi project works. Yeah.
Thank you. I look
Yeah.
forward to it. And you have a great rest of your day, okay?
Thank you, dear. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody. Thank you. So I'm gonna click on end broadcast. 再见. 再见 means goodbye. So everything is a little